You are the father.
What you are looking at are real-life emergencies that happened without warning to ordinary people like us. But the victims of those accidents are all alive and well, and they're here today to pay tribute to the men and women who saved their lives. They're real-life heroes. Let's get going. What you're about to hear would be every parent's worst nightmare. This is Alex and Adriana. They were home with a new 12-day-old baby, Priscilla, when Priscilla suddenly turned blue and stopped breathing. Why, Adriana?
Basically, I had her on top of the bed on her back. I was going to change her diaper, and she spit up some milk. As she spit it up, she inhaled it, and she just started choking, and she started turning blue. I picked her up. I started, hitting her and trying to shake her up.
What went through your mind?
Basically, I have two other children, really not much at that moment. But when I saw that she started turning blue all around her mouth, and I see her body very stiff and her eyes rolled back. That's when I really panicked, and I didn't know, I thought my baby was dying on me.
That's your thought. My baby is dying.
Oh, yes.
Did you call 911 right away?
I ran downstairs. My husband had just gotten home from work, and I tell him, he didn't know what was going on. He takes, we didn't want to shake her. She was just a newborn.
You can't shake a 12-day-old.
You can't shake her.
No,
so I was like, pitting her. You didn't know what to do at that moment with her, and then he takes her, and he tells my other daughter to call 911. And when they call, they started telling him, they started telling me, but he grabbed the phone from me.
Yeah, they heard you screaming. Yeah. They got a dispatcher on the phone named Pete.
Yeah.
Alex, that was your voice we heard on the tape.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind as you talked to the 911 dispatcher?
I thought she was going to die on me.
You wanted somebody to come and get her, or you wanted to get in the car and go there. You did not want to put the baby by the phone.
Right, yeah, because he wanted to have the baby by the phone so he could tell us what to do with the baby.
Did you know CPR?
No, not really.
Did not. Okay, that's a good reason for every young parent to learn CPR. I would think that the sound of that baby crying would be the happiest sound. And you're crying now listening to it. Unbelievable that your baby's life was saved by that phone call. And I know that you consider Pete, the 911 dispatcher, the true hero, right?
Hero, yes.
Now, we've got to find out his story. I would all like you to meet this real-life hero. Pete, come on out. Do you have a last name? Heroes should have last names.
My last name is Fody.
Okay, very nice to meet you. When you first heard that call, what was your first thought?
Okay, well, when the call came in, I heard the screaming from a female, and it sounded like there was a domestic violence in progress.
That's what I thought when I heard it, that you were being beaten up and were screaming for 911. How did you calm Alex down and stay calm yourself?
I have no idea.
None. You don't remember a thing.
I don't remember how I stayed calm. I just knew I had a dad reaching out to me through the phone.
And that's all you knew, and you did the right thing. And you've gotten a reward, an award for it?
Yes, from the Clifton Fire Department. I received.
What I'm interested in is after you hung up the phone, what happens?
Well, as soon as we knew that the ambulance and paramedics and everybody was on scene, I hung up the phone and I looked over at Officer Stianchi and my other dispatcher, Pete Van Eneman, and we just kind of looked at each other like, thank God, we got her. And it was like just the greatest feeling.
I know that Pete is your family hero. Now your chance to tell him what you would like to tell him.
Yeah, he is a hero. Definitely to us.
He's a hero, and he'll always be in that place in your heart where you have people that you care for.
Can we give him a hero medal?
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right?
Yes.
You put this hero medal on Pete. And also, I think that we would really like to meet You know what I want to do? I want to see the baby. There she is. Oh. Next, this mom thought she'd surprise her daughter at a dance class. Oh, when she arrived, that's a good, healthy sign. When she arrived, she found her child and 5 other children unconscious near death. You'll hear the incredible story if you return. People, by the way, who without hesitation put their own fears and their own safety aside to save other people's lives. This is Cheryl, and this is a wild story. I mean, the last thing in the world that anyone would think of. Her ordeal started when she went to pick up her 11-year-old daughter, Rachel, at dance class in a small town, right? What state?
Nebraska.
Nebraska. Drops her daughter up, goes to pick up her daughter. Were you supposed to be there at a certain time, and were you early or late?
I was early.
Early, thank heaven. She walks in and finds Rachel and 5 other children lying on the floor unconscious minutes from death. What did it look like to you?
My first impression was the pictures I've seen of a war scene where people had lay on the ground lying where they fell in awkward positions, and the girls were scattered around the room. The instructor and her father were also unconscious.
Everybody was lying on the floor unconscious or slumped over. What did you do first?
Well, my immediate response was to try to decide what had happened, and the thought crossed my mind that perhaps they'd been shot, but there was no blood and gore. I quickly decided that the fact that everyone in the room was unconscious meant it must have been carbon monoxide, which indeed was the problem.
You thought that quickly. I would have thought they'd all been poisoned or shot or something like that, because, I mean, wouldn't you? That would be my thought. Okay, you walk in there, you decide there's something in the air, they are all out. What do you do?
I turned and ran out of the building and kind of surveyed the houses around the building. It was dark, it was winter. There were no lights on in the houses that I could see across the street, and my response was, who do I know that lives around here? Luckily, the county sheriff lived next door to the building, and I ran to his home, banged on the door, burst into their house, and said, call 911, everyone's unconscious next door. Then I turned around and went back to the building and started carrying the girls out into the fresh air.
I know the girls are very special to you. Did they all live?
Yes, they did.
You? Now, you wrote each girl a letter. What did the letter say?
Well, I have it with me. I wrote this letter to each of the girls a few days after the incident. My husband happened to be in Africa at the time that this happened. It was the middle of the night, and I was alone, and I needed to speak to those girls. I wrote, I am so glad that you're alive and hope that you're feeling better by now. There is a little girl in town that I have especially enjoyed watching grow because I delivered her when she was born before the doctor could get to the hospital. I call her my baby. You and the other girls are going to be like that now, too. When I see you, I will always feel like you are in some way my special girl.
That's great.
Rachel has always wanted a sister, and on Tuesday I think she got 5. I don't feel like a hero. Anyone could have done what I did, but I thank God that I was there to help at the right time.
This is, of course, Rachel. Rachel, you put that around your mom's neck. Is that okay? By the way, surprise, there's somebody here today who wanted to thank you. Melinda and Gail, come on out. Is this your new sister, Rachel? Yeah. Right. What a story. Did they ever find out what happened?
Yes, they did. There was an old furnace in the building, and the heat exchanger cracked and put a very large amount of carbon monoxide into the air very quickly. And the girls did not even know that they were losing consciousness. They just got to feeling sick to their stomach and tired and
one by one out they
laid
went.
down, pretty much all at once.
I think that's terrific, and congratulations to both girls for still being here.
Yeah.
Good. I want you to meet Dory right now, if that's all right. Dory says it's a miracle she's here today. In fact, she says it's a miracle she's alive at all. 2 years ago, Dory was driving along on a busy highway when suddenly the car skidded and flipped over. She was thrown from the car and critically hurt. She had massive head injuries, a punctured lung, a severed liver, cervical fractures, and a broken leg. Dory, do you remember any of that from the moment of what happened? Impact, was it? Do you remember any of it?
I hate to say no, I don't remember. Well, I'm glad I don't remember that part. But I have been told that I was very lucky that 2 detectives were driving down on the highway on the other side of the road, and they saw me in the road. Cars were passing by me, and they stopped their car and ran over the median, and they were Ed and Gary. Gary stopped the traffic, and Ed saw me in a pile of blood coming out everywhere, and he cleared my airways, and I started breathing, and he was holding my neck because he noticed I was pretty beat up there. And my legs started going, flapping in my arms, and I was yelling, let me go, I gotta get up. But he restrained me, and it was pretty good that he did because I did break my neck. And they rushed me to the hospital, but if they weren't there, you know, it could have been, if I, you know, moved at all.
So the right thing was not to let you move at all. Were the cars speeding by you? Did they tell you?
That's what I heard. Gary had to stop the traffic. They were keep on going right by me.
So somebody had to stand there and say, no, you can't do this.
Right, they had to totally stop it.
How do you thank somebody for saving your life?
There aren't words that could justify it.
What happens when you think of these two men?
Oh, God. It's like a spiritual thing, you know?
In other words, they'll always be part of you.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, Dory. I know you haven't seen Ed since right after the accident. And consciously, you've never met Gary. Are you ready to meet him now? I'm going to let you give him our award. Ed and Gary, it's been 2 years. Come on out.
How are you?
All right, Ed and Gary, she says she doesn't remember, and most victims do not. How do you feel seeing her today?
Great.
Isn't it great?
Yes, it's a miracle.
Interesting thing, Gary said, you know, this is just part of my job. We see you as heroes. I know it's part of your job, but I think it's a perfectly wonderful thing, and we're glad we could put all three of you together again. We'll be right back. Of unsung heroes. Today we have sung heroes. Well, it's the opposite of unsung. Meet Bill and his wife Barbara. They say their lives have never been the same since that special day in March. Bill, you were going home on the bus, right?
Well, I was. Didn't get there, but...
Didn't get there.
I got to the bus.
Were you with your wife?
My wife was waiting at the Battery Park for me, and I was rushing to get there, so I didn't want to make her wait. We had to make a later bus. And when I got there, we got on the bus, took off my coat, my briefcase, put them up on the rack. Told her I had something I wanted to show her in the newspaper. And that's about the last I know.
Is that the last thing you remember?
Freight days. Yeah.
My goodness, Barbara, you're sitting next to him. Did it appear that he'd passed out?
He was reading and his head dropped, and I knew he hadn't gone to sleep. And I screamed his name, I slapped his face, and he just took a breath and then collapsed.
Just completely.
Just like that.
Did you think at first? I would have thought, well, my husband, I would have thought he was asleep. I
Not
thought
that fast.
No,
Happened too
not
fast.
that fast. They nod off a little slower, if you know what I mean.
He,
What did you do?
I screamed at him, "Don't leave me." And someone said, "Get help." And before I knew it, there were about 6 policemen on the bus. And I just said, "Don't let him die." And they carried him. It took 6 of them to carry him off the bus.
Now, we must tell you that he's how tall?
He's 6'5", and at the time he weighed 250.
250 pounds.
When they got him off the bus, there was a stretcher in the street, 2
Already?
ambulances, and immediately they tore off his clothes and they paddled him.
Ripped my best suit.
Oh, well.
Filed a bill with the city. They didn't send me the money.
What are you thinking, Barbara, while this is happening?
I keep saying it was like watching a movie. This wasn't really happening. I couldn't believe what I saw, the way they worked together. There was no confusion, there was no screaming. They all had a job and they did it.
And they knew how to do it that quickly.
I just remember I was trying to hold his hand and they were paddling him and they kept pulling me away. They said, "You can't hold his hand, we're shocking him." But other than that, they revived him at least twice on the street.
Twice on the street. And then he went in the ambulance?
He went in the ambulance and they wouldn't let me go because they were still working on him. And there were 2 policemen, police officer Esposito and Manera took me to the hospital. And they didn't just dump me at the door, they came in. And one of them stayed with me while the other went to see how he was. And they called my family. By that time I was a lunatic. I couldn't even remember my name.
I know that the 2 paramedics who brought Bill back to life are heroes. Can you explain how you feel when you think of them?
Yeah, my heroes were always sports figures until that day. It's hard to talk, but how do you say anything about the people who gave your life back?
You don't. You don't.
It comes at you in moments. My daughter's wedding, my grandchildren. I would have missed all that.
I understand. I think we're all eager to meet Bill and Barbara's heroes. Steve and Jim, come on out.
Thanks.
Steve, was Bill dead when you and Jim got to him?
Yes.
He was
Yes.
dead.
He was in
really,
full-
truly dead?
Dead.
That dead?
Dead is dead. He was in cardiac and respiratory arrest, and was not breathing. As soon as he got off the bus, we knew. He came out feet first out of the bus. The police officers were carrying him, and Jim said to me, "Steve, this isn't good," and that's why we, immediately started working on him.
Put him in the street and start
Right in the
working.
street, started right there. He was not breathing. He needed oxygen, and he needed chest compressions to pump his blood. So,
Steve, you told us that normally you don't hear about the people you save ever again. I didn't realize that you guys did not hear from anybody. I would think that this would be like a member of your family. Why is Bill so different?
well, he's a human being standing in front of me, sitting here right
He's
now.
not just something that you worked on.
Right, and that's, over the years, we don't usually see our patients afterwards. We try to follow up, but we have so many patients that it's hard to.
Do you know, these 2 gentlemen between them have 50 rescues. Barbara, I'll give this to you and you give it to the guys, and if you'd like to tell them what you got there.
comes later.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There's no
Tell
words
them
that
what you
can never
think.
express what we feel about you guys. You are heroes, angels. You always have a special place in our hearts. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, we're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because you're angels to everybody else, we brought angels for you today.
You know, most of the people we talk to who have been rescued like that, they say, I just don't remember, I don't remember, it was a movie, it was a dream. Well, what really goes on? Maybe Terrence can tell us. He says that he felt his life was slipping away when he called 911. By the time the emergency paramedics showed up, Terrence was still conscious, but seconds away from that full cardiac arrest. He stopped breathing 8 times, every time the paramedics revived him. So understandably, Terrence is here to say, you're my hero. Terrence, what do you mean slipping away? What does that, is it like going to sleep, slipping away?
Well, it was a nauseous feeling, and then it was like fading out. The lights went dim, and once it went dim, that's all I remembered.
Was there, like they say when you're going to die, like a long tunnel or a light or anything?
I didn't see any tunnel.
Nothing?
No. There was...
Okay. I know you want to thank Randy for being your hero. Hugh and Randy, come on out. You knew he was going to make it because he fought you, right?
Yes.
The whole time? Mm-hmm. What do you want to fight them for?
I didn't know I was fighting.
Is it true? Tell him.
Yeah. When we got to his house, the amazing thing about the story is when we got to his house, he was talking to us, and as soon as I saw him, I recognized that he was having a heart attack. So I told Randy to get some help, put him in some oxygen, took his vital signs, and we were preparing him to get out of the house. And when we had him in the chair, he just started going, and I said, Randy, this is serious. And we were trying to decide now whether or not to take him and put him down on the floor or take him downstairs. So we decided to go downstairs. He was a little, heavy at the time, and the weight didn't really matter to us. We got him downstairs just like that. I mean, we didn't even feel the weight. We just got him downstairs, got him in the ambulance. When we got down there, he was in full cardiac arrest, and we started working on him. The other ambulance arrived, and we had to shock him 4 times. And every time, we shocked him, he came, and he went back. He was constantly fighting.
It's something you'll never forget.
No.
Would you please give them their hero message?
Yes, gladly.
We'll be right back.
You are the fight. Get off my stage.
Our next guest story sounds like something out of a movie. I happen to live on a river that sometimes is quite raging. So every morning when I get up, that's what I look at, the river. Karma and her husband, Brandon, went on what was supposed to be a fun weekend rafting trip or canoe trip? Canoe trip. Things quickly got out of control, and Karma nearly lost her life. What happened? As somebody who canoes along a river, what happened?
Well, we put in our canoe and we had a fairly smooth ride until we got near the area where we wanted to take the canoe out, and we got into some rough water. We tried to get the canoe over to the smooth area of water, and that's where the trouble started. The current started to fill our canoe with water as we tried to get to the smooth area. And we decided that our canoe wasn't going to get us to the edge. So we decided to let our canoe go ahead and go down the creek, and we decided to hold on to a tree.
You found a tree there.
We found it. We were holding on to the tree, and that's when the boat started to fill just with water.
So you could let it go and
We
still
let it
hold
go,
on to
and
the
we
tree.
held onto the tree.
How long did you hold on to it? You're not a very strong, large woman, in
No.
case television isn't showing you that. How long did you hold on to the tree?
We held on to the tree for about 5 minutes until we got someone's attention, and we were told the length of time that we were on the tree was about 45 minutes before the
45
rescue
minutes.
started. Mhm.
Didn't you get tired trying to hold on in the water for 45 minutes?
Within the first few minutes, my husband decided to push me around the other side of the tree so that the current would push me against the tree, and that would have been the only way that I could have stayed there for that long.
How did you get someone's attention on the bank?
Someone actually saw our canoe go, and so they were right on the scene, and we knew that help had been called. So I wasn't so scared right away because I
you knew
knew that
someone
help
would
was on
help
the
you.
way.
Now, they came to where you were, but the river was going too fast for boats?
Yeah.
How do they rescue you if they can't get in a boat?
Well, they first sent 2 rescue divers out to help us, and they were there at the tree with us for a while, and there was a helicopter flying around, and they weren't quite sure what they were going to do as far as a rescue effort. There was a bridge a ways down the creek there, and they decided that the rescue divers would float down the river with us, and we would catch on to these ropes that were strung out in front of the bridge.
So you did that, and your husband caught the rope. And
We all caught the rope.
You
All
did.
4 of us caught the rope. When all 4 bodies' weight were on that rope, it started pulling down below the water. Water was coming up over our heads, and I held on for a while. Then I was not able to hold on any longer.
So they're all on the rope, and you're sailing down the river. What did you think?
Once I got on the other side of the bridge, they had another catch line there, and I was able to catch on to that for a moment, but with one hand, I really couldn't hold on after that length of time that I'd been in the water. So after that, I ended up letting go off of that catch line, and that's when the rescue, 2 policemen jumped in off the top of the bridge after me.
They jumped in.
I believe that's what I'm told. Mhm.
Meaning they put their life at risk, because it could have been 3 people floating down the river. They put their life at risk to grab you. They grabbed you, and what happened?
Well, I was underwater at the time, and I was just trying to hold my breath and do the best that I could. I remember feeling hands grab me, and I knew then that I'd be okay.
Ken, the trooper who saved your life, what would you like to say to him today?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, let's bring him out and you tell him directly. Ken, come on up. Ken, you're wearing an Illinois badge. Is that the state?
Yes, ma'am.
Ken specialized in underwater search and discover, and he had just come on shift when he heard about the creek incident. You just jumped in hoping to catch her in time with no equipment, just a life jacket?
Yes, ma'am.
How did it feel?
Disbelief, I think, at first, that it was happening, and second, that, I mean, you just know that you have to do something.
All right. I think you're really a hero, and we are proud to present you, if you will please give this to him, with our special Sally medal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. You know, There are heroes and there are heroes. It's not just the once-in-a-lifetime heroes that we would like to salute. We also want to honor people who make a difference in our world every single day. And it's with great pleasure that I will introduce to you Dr. Lorraine Hale. All of that applause is because Dr. Hale, for the rest of the people in the country, runs a place called Hale House in New York City. And this is a haven for babies who have AIDS and babies who have been born drug addicted. In other words, this is a home for babies who really need love. Take me back to 1969. What were you doing in 1969?
Let's see, in 1969, I was 2 years old and I was driving a car.
That's not
going
true.
home.
Where does it say you lie to the host?
I apologize.
But how did you get started doing
this?
this?
I was leaving my mother's house and I was driving home. I was a little older than 2. And I saw a woman sitting on a box. And that was the time of heroin addiction in New York. And I drove off, but I'd gone about 5 blocks, and I said, let me see what was going on there. I went back, I parked the car.
You went back?
I went back, I parked my car, I got out of the car, I walked over to the woman, and I said, I think you need some help with that baby. Because she had a package on her lap, and I looked and a little arm came out. And I said, my mother takes care of children, so I quickly wrote my mother's address on the slip of paper, and I said, you probably seen my mother, little lady with children of all races. Gave her the slip, got back in the car, went home. The next morning, like 8 o'clock, it was a Saturday, and I received a telephone call from you-know-who, mother. And she was furious. You sent a drug addict to my door? Girl, what's the matter with you? I said, I didn't send it. And then I remembered, so I told her the story. She was not impressed by my story, not at all. No drug addict in her house. But I said, the lady has a baby. Mother said, she doesn't have a baby. So she said, oh my God, I left my door open. She went running back, and she came back. She said, do you know she left this baby on the door sill? And went away. And that's kind of how we got started. No money. We raised all of our own money. We had our neighbors who helped. They came in as volunteers. They worked with us. Without the people in our community, we could not have done it.
How many babies do you know? How many have passed through? Or
I think right now there are about 2,800
babies
who have passed through.
How long do you keep the babies?
How long do we keep the babies? We keep the babies. A senior citizen at Hale House is 3 years old.
3 years old.
So we try, but our job is to reunite the children with their parents.
Do you usually find a family for them, a member of the family who comes?
Always. They're old. We have had 15 children who were adopted. The rest have been returned to their natural mother or a family member.
Only 15 have been adopted
15.
out of the 2,800. Yeah. That's pretty good. Do people come in and hug them and hold them, because that's what babies need?
That's what they need. I'm the first one. I get first
dibs, crack at hugging and holding?
I do hugging and holding. And so when people say, did you write that letter to so-and-so? I said, oh, I was holding a baby and I forgot it. And I don't do all the administrative things that I probably should do. I'd rather hold the babies and play with them.
I think that's more important. Now, you come on up, you give it to her. Come on. Come on. You put it around her neck. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I would like to tell you now, can I take off? I'm going to take off this. Can I leave you here for a moment and introduce you to another story, if that's possible? I want to tell you about another hero who made a big difference in a lot of people's lives. His name was Terry Bynum, and here's what he did. He was worried that kids in his town, which is Montclair, New Jersey, had no place to go at night where their parents would know they were safe. And this is happening in a lot of towns where the kids can only stand on a street corner or get in trouble. So with a bunch of friends, he opened a place called the Serendipity Cafe and the kids could have soda or coffee and listen to poetry or hang out and listen to music. Unfortunately, Terry died this past summer after a long-term illness, after doing this wonderful thing. This is Terry's mom, and boy, he good-looking guy, absolutely good-looking guy. Can we thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Sally.
We'll be right back.
You are the fire. Get off my stage.
Well, we've heard a lot of amazing stories today, but this next story grabbed me by the heartstrings. You see, our next hero has saved over 50 lives. Please welcome a real hero, Ginny. Ginny, come on out. Come on, call Ginny. Call Ginny.
Ginny.
Call Ginny. Come on out. Go on back.
Come here, little girl. Come on. Come here. Ginny, get up here. Ginny. Come here, little girl. Come up here.
Okay.
Come on,
Philip.
Ginny.
Ginny is the dog. Philip is the owner.
Come on, Ginny.
And he, not only that, but he's written his dog story. This is called The Dog Who Rescues Cats.
Ginny.
The true story of Ginny. Philip says Ginny has a sixth sense about danger. Would you explain this to me? He loves cats?
Yes, she loves cats.
Rescues cats?
She rescues them.
And has saved 50 lives?
Over 50.
Over 50 lives. How did you discover this talent?
One night I was walking her, and she...
By the way, where does she come from? She's not a full-bred, is she?
Ginny's a mixed breed. She's a Terrier Schnauzer and Siberian Husky.
All of those. And where was she? Where was she?
She's a shelter dog.
She comes from the Humane Society?
Yes, she does.
Oh, we're very pleased to meet you. A lot of our good friends come from the Humane Society. Okay. Did you pick this one particularly?
She picked me, actually.
Yeah, I know how that is. I've gone into a shelter. They kind of decide. So what happened? You were walking her one day.
There was an abandoned building, and she ran in there, and she knocked over this pipe, and inside were 5 kittens, which someone had thrown inside. They were about a week and a half old.
Well, we can't give her the medal. What we have to do is meet one of the people she saved. I'm sorry, one of the cats she saved. Please welcome Spot. Well, that's Spot, and Spot and Ginny are good friends?
Yes.
Is she one of the kittens that was saved in the pipe?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, do you let me, Ginny, I would like to, on behalf of everybody.
Ginny!
Hello?
Right, she's right
yes.
here.
On behalf of everybody, I'd like to give you one of our medals. Thank you very much. Look here. We even have a surprise for Philip. He has provided shelter for so many needy animals. So can I give you this? This is a year's supply of dog and cat food, courtesy of Petland Discount and Ease Pet Food for you. We'll be right back. Well, we started with 911 and ended with the cat and the dog and had baby and nice people all in between. You know, you never know when you're going to be called upon to be a hero. By the way, let me be the first person to wish you a very happy holidays. See you next time.
the fight.